So I always start with the daily, that's my max. Sometimes I go on the weekly to just see like what happened the last week. So you can see in the last 2 weeks, price had a big drop towards the downside. So it's just extra information for myself. So I know like Bitcoin's direction is towards the downside. It's just extra information. But what I usually like to do is always start with the daily. So let's take a look at this. So right now, what can you see? Overall, we can see we've been quite bullish right around here, around 22nd of June, all the way up to 15th of August. But ever since this break of structure right over here, we've been bearish. This common market structure, high highs and high lows. Once a high low is broken, you're bearish. And then this is also a break of structure, yes, but you have to keep in mind that's imbalance right over here. A major structure has been broken. So price just grabbed this liquidity. And also if you move on a lower time frame, this area right over here, let me just mark this area right over here. This area over here on a lower time, let's just go to the 1 hour time frame. This area over here on a 1 hour time frame, it's a basic resistance over here. Many retail traders are looking to sell this area. So definitely this place will get run. There's a lot of liquidity on a lower time frame that you can see, but it's not important right now. Let's move to the daily back again. So that is also why price decides to grab the liquidity. So let me remove the replay tool. All right. So that is also one reason why price came to grab this liquidity and this trend on liquidity after filling the imbalance and then break structure back again. Then price made a slight bullish move towards the upside. As you can see, mitigating this imbalance over here. I've always told this even in the smart money course, price always does two things. The main two things is that price will always try to fill an imbalance or move towards the liquidity point. That's how price moves in general, if in a smart money point of view. So we have a supply zone over here, but price didn't mitigate. It's still valid, no problem. Price just wanted to mitigate this, wanted to fill some of this imbalance over here and then make a strong drop towards the downside. Right now, the strong drop broke this structure, as you can see. But this drop wasn't just any normal efficient drop. This is efficient price action. As you can see, everything has been filled. But right now, price made a strong drop towards the downside. So this left a lot of inefficiency that price has to come and fill. Inefficiency is basically just imbalance. So price has to come up to fill some of this inefficiency because that's how the market works, is supply and demand. When price drops like this, demand, basically buyers have no chance to take control of the market. Just sellers was in full control. And that's not how balance works. Balance works when supply and demands are in, how to say, balance, for example. So in this sense, there's just a lot of sellers. So price has to come and fill this imbalance over here. So on a basic daily time frame, on a higher time frame, my bigger picture is that now we had a strong drop. This inefficiency has to be filled. Now we can find a supply zone that we can assume that price wants to mitigate before continuing towards the downside. Now we cannot really see a supply zone. We have this, but if we move to like maybe a bigger picture like the two-day time frame, or even the 3 days time frame, you can see here we have a valid supply zone on a 3-day time frame. So from this 3 days time frame, we can assume that price would want to push up to mitigate this supply zone, maybe give some confirmation on a lower time frame like the 4 hour or maybe even the 1 hour. And then we can take price all the way towards the downside because we know overall trend is towards the downside. Now, you also can see that there's equal lows right over here. This is also more confirmation, more confirmation that price really wants to move towards the downside. Now, obviously, we don't take trades on the daily time frame or the high time frame because we're intraday traders. So we basically take trades on like 1 hour or 15 minutes. So this is your overall high time frame picture. We know that price wants to move towards the supply before moving towards the downside. On a high time frame, this is our bias. So now let's move towards the lower time frame, maybe like the 4 hour time frame. And you can see there's these equal highs marked previously. And I assume price wants to hunt this equal lows after mitigating this high time frame supply zone. So on the 4 hour time frame, we can see that over here, overall we were in a range. Right over here, price was just consolidating. We're working between this range over here because this was the last lower high, and this is the last lower low. we're working between this range right now. So let's just assume right now we basically cannot confirm any trend because price is just consolidating. But obviously, if you move towards the 15-minute time frame, you could just take intraday buys over here. As you can see, demand and a lot of demand. Obviously, demand failing right over here. So supply is in control. Price is mitigating right now. Supply. We can do this on a lower time frame, but let's just take a look right now at the forward time frame. So right now we cannot really confirm anything whether price wants to move towards the upside or downside. But let's just say if price breaks above this high, because this was the last lower high. If price breaks above this high, now we can confirm that price actually wants to move towards the upside to mitigate the supply zone. So we can assume that price wants to move up, mitigate this daily 3-day time frame supply zone, and then get a confirmation over here before taking price all the way towards the downside hunting these equal lows. Now, we also have to keep in mind that right now price is over here. You can say that price is actually mitigating the supply zone over here. But what I don't like about the supply zone is that there's a lot of liquidity, as you can see over here. A lot of resistance, a lot of retail traders are looking to sell around that area. So let's just say if price breaks above this high, obviously we confirm we are bullish all the way to the supply zone, but price doesn't have to do that because in trading, nothing is 100%. I hope you guys know that. In trading, nothing is 100%. We just have to work with what price is giving us. So maybe even price can mitigate this supply zone and continue towards the downside and we won't get a trade because we always need to stick with our strategy that we have back tested and forward tested so many times. So what I would be personally doing is that I wouldn't look to sell over here. Obviously, price gave small sells, but we could assume price would just want to break above the supply zone and grab all this liquidity. But if I'm going to look for sells from one of these supply zone, I'll be looking for sells from this supply zone. Because this supply zone is right above all that liquidity. If you can even refine the supply zone on a lower time frame, let's go to a 2-hour time frame and see. There you go. There's a beautiful supply zone over here. See, there's slight imbalance as well. There's slight imbalance as well. And this supply is right above all of this liquidity. So if price gives a confirmation, a valid confirmation in this zone, we give a valid confirmation in this zone, we can take price all the way towards downside targeting these equal lows. But if price breaks above this supply and also break above this high, now we can confirm that price is bullish all the way to the 3-day supply zone before continuing towards the downside. So overall, that is my bias for Bitcoin. Obviously, if price breaks above this high in the supply zone, we can definitely look for buys, maybe on the 1-hour time frame. We can look for demand zones, taking price all the way towards the upside, towards supply zone. So that is it for Bitcoin. Let's move over to Ethereum.